Hey everyone, welcome back to the Dollar Bin. So today marks a monumental occasion. So not only am I trying to play through all of the unplayed games that are in my Steam library, my Epic Games library, and just generally figure out what I own. I also wanted to go through and play some games that are highly acclaimed that I've never actually played before. So to start the series off, I decided to start with Fallout New Vegas, given the new Fallout show. Kind of just felt like that was a good time for that, and it's had me itching since I've only played Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, and I've never really played New Vegas, and people have said that's the best one. So the game opens with this scene where it's walking through how the wasteland is currently settling in California. It introduces you to the New California Republic and Caesar's Legion and a mysterious figure known as Mr. House. Now, these figures are all fighting over the Hoover Dam. I like this segment because it very quickly, within a matter of like 2 minutes, gets you caught up on what happened since humanity's downfall, entering into the vaults, and the people leaving the vaults, and now creating these new gangs, these new legions, these new armies. Right after that, it introduces you to your character, known as the Courier. The first thing that you are greeted to as your character is you are on the ground, you've been knocked out, and there are 3 men standing over you. They've clearly stolen whatever your package is, and they are now putting you in the grave. But apparently they can't finish the job, as you are woken up a few days later, recovering at a doctor's facility nearby. Now, I actually like how they do character creation in this game because it's very fluid. It feels very natural. The doctor pulls out like a device to show you like your character, where you get to design the appearance and do all of those fun things, and then gets you to stand up, walk over, and there's like a strength test device where it lets you pick out your stats. If you're familiar with the Fallout games, you know the special system, those being strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. That's a lot of stats. Now, in my case, I decided that it would be fun to play a character that is charisma, luck, middling in endurance, and agility, so that I'm not bad at guns and I have a decent amount of health. But definitely my strong suit is talking enemies down or being extremely lucky, garnering more crits, and just a general bonus to all of my stats. After doing your special test, you're also put through a quiz, which if you've played any of the other Elder Scroll games, the older ones, you have these quizzes that essentially decide what your class is, but you do get the chance to modify that yourself. I always enjoy this because even though I normally change my skills afterwards, it's just a fun little mini game-esque thing to give you your class and kind of let you not have to do it all yourself and just let it make decisions for you based on questions as to what your character's personality would be. This sequence plus the following levels of combat and things that you experience begin to show where the game really shines, which is the gameplay. The gameplay is very interesting for this game. It definitely leans into a almost hybrid with something like D&D, if you're similar with other tabletops, where you both have to aim and have good stats. Your stats are extremely important in about every aspect of the gameplay, with agility, perception, and strength affecting different kinds of weapons, their damage, and their accuracy. So, as you notice in my gameplay footage, it is very difficult for me to hit anything because I have really bad agility. Even though my agility was really low, my luck was really high, so I was almost always guaranteed a crit, which was very satisfying, actually. It kind of made up for the fact that I was really missing a lot because I was able to get all those criticals. Alongside of that, 2 mechanics that I've always loved at the Fallout series return, which are crippling limbs and the karma system. So crippling limbs is always fun because if you have an enemy that's wielding a giant club or they're wielding like a machine gun or a rocket launcher, if you manage to damage one of their arms or damage their legs or their head, depending on how you do it, it applies different status effects like dropping their accuracy or making them not able to use things at all, making them run slower. You get the idea. This is obviously huge because it makes you want to strategize and choose where you're trying to hit your target using the VAT system. Now, bringing up VATS, VATS is and has always been a scam and will continue to be for the rest of the series. It's kind of a staple for me. I always feel like I miss probably 95% of the time whenever I use VATS, regardless of what the percentage says. I think every time I tried to use it in this game, I missed, so I just don't use it anymore. Now, like I said earlier, I really enjoy the karma system. Now, if you ever played Skyrim or Oblivion or pretty much any other Bethesda game, you know that stealing things is really easy and very broken. And that's where the karma system in Fallout actually balances thievery, and I really, really enjoy it. So while this game does use karma less than Fallout 3 does, I still enjoy its inclusion because it does make you feel like there is someone constantly watching over your shoulder, knowing whether you're doing good or bad things. And it does affect you as a character, giving you access to 3 different perks based on your karma level at the end of the game, and also affecting your ending. Now, obviously, yes, you can probably farm it. I'm sure there are ways. I have not learned of them personally, but point being, it does actually impose a penalty for stealing and doing other bad things that would normally in Skyrim, unless somebody saw you, not really have a downside. You would just get away with it, and then you could just go turn around and sell it at the Thieves Guild and make a bunch of money, and there was just no balance there. So that's why I really like this system, and I wish more games would actually introduce it. Although sadly, I think too many players are just excited to be able to steal things with no consequences, and therefore it probably won't get put into more games. One thing that I noticed coming from Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 is that this game is very difficult. I'm on normal difficulty, and I was getting thrashed every time I turned around. Stim packs are much more expensive in this game than probably any other Fallout game than what I've noticed. It's much more difficult to find caps than the other games as well. So you end up having almost no healing. So you have to be very careful with resource management and actually make sure that you're not just running out of ammo all the time and having to blow all your money on ammo and meds and everything else. You can actually buy new things like guns, weapons, armor, instead of just spending all your money on consumables. One thing that I love about this game compared to the other Fallout games is that I really feel like all of the factions are the main story. In Fallout 4, you feel like the factions are more just there. Like, you know, you start your main story and you're like, oh, I'm looking for my son. But in New Vegas, you essentially are thrown headlong into a pit of vipers with all of the factions at each other's throats. It is a complete standstill, and everything is set up like a powder keg. So you really feel like your actions helping either faction or any of the factions, or none of them, really actually matters. I think the connection of the factions being very tightly tied to everything that's happened to you so far really makes you feel like it's important that you're helping them and that you are an important person. I also feel like there are more factions in this game than in probably any other Bethesda game, ranging from the Legionnaires and the NCR to Mr. House and the Powder Gangers, just to name a few. And there's still plenty more that I'm not mentioning. In addition, every settlement has its own feelings towards you. So you constantly feel like whatever actions you are taking really matter towards what's going on. And it makes the choices against certain factions really feel like you want to think about them before you make a choice. Let me give you an example. Early on, you meet this character named Ringo, and you very quickly get drawn into this fight between the Powder Gangers, led by Joe Cobb, and Ringo in the town of Goodspring. So you essentially have to make the choice between who to side with. And if you choose to side against the Powder Gangers, you immediately become vilified with them. And any settlements nearby that the Powder Gangers run, you are attacked on sight from one quest. So it really does make every decision you want to make very serious, because now you have to choose, is it worth me pissing off this entire faction of people who now hate me? Something that this game also shines at compared to other games is that I feel like it does a very good job of actually reminding me what the main quest is. Anyone who has played any kind of open world game knows that it's very easy to get sucked into doing all the side quests and completely forget that there's anything going on in the main story. Whereas this game does a very good job of reminding you, hey, you need to go find these people, because whatever your package was very important. It stresses to you early on that whatever was in that package could be world-shattering, compared to games like Fallout 3 or Fallout 4, where I don't even know if I ever found my dad or son in either of those games. I'm sure they're somewhere out in the wastelands wandering forever. Hopefully a baby can survive in the wilds. And I think what really makes this game's story shine is that they actually focus on the main story. They actually try to make the world feel like it's revolving around something happening, which is who rules Hoover Dam. They say it in the game. Whoever rules Hoover Dam rules New Vegas. So it's extremely important what faction fights over and controls Hoover Dam, because it is one of the few sources of consistent power left in this new world. whereas other games, Starfield, really do a bad job of making you feel like anything that's happening with their main plotline matters at all. So if you watch my Starfield video, I don't think I actually went back and did anything with it past the point of finding the initial shard in the mine. I followed it to the point that I had to where I could go, and then I left, and I did not turn back because the plotline sucks. It does nothing to interest you. It might be really cool at the end, but it does nothing to keep you interested. Another thing that I didn't experience very much because I wanted to play the game in its original format is modding. But oh my gosh, does this game have so many mods. Like any Bethesda game, almost everyone plays this game modded. So, I'm sure many of the complaints that I have will be fixed in mods, but I wanted to experience it as someone who played it originally with no mods. I wanted to experience the game fresh and clean. I definitely would recommend looking at the mods because there are plenty that fix many of the visuals, there are many that fix many of the performance issues, there are many that even add extra content back in because every Bethesda game has so much content that's been cut, and so many people, thank you guys to the modding community, go back in and add them as cutting room floor mods where they just add all of that stuff back in, clean it up, make it actually functional. So I definitely would recommend giving the mods a try. At the end of the day, I definitely really enjoyed this game. I would probably give it a 7 out of 10. I definitely think it's the best Fallout game. Obviously, there are things that Fallout 4 improves, but I really enjoy having all the different conversation options that Fallout 4 doesn't have as much. I feel like Fallout New Vegas does a much better job of allowing me special conversation options that are tied to my skills, or just does a better job in general of the gameplay side and the story, whereas Fallout 4 exceeds more with the better visuals and the better voice acting. I think the story and the way that everything is laid out is definitely my favorite part of this game. It just makes the world feel so alive, which a lot of open world games struggle with. It's compelling, it's ridiculously immersive, and it really feels like the side missions actually tie into the main story, which I really appreciate. The visuals are not great for a game that is 14 years old, but it still has its own charm that I hope that a lot of people can appreciate. And I definitely see why a lot of people would consider New Vegas probably one of the best Fallout games, and probably one of the best open world RPGs. I think it should be considered one of the best games of all time. So I hope that you all take the time to give it a try, and I hope that you smash that subscribe button. Thank you for coming on this trip to the dollar bin with me. If you guys have enjoyed watching me talk about Fallout New Vegas and you want to watch me play more, please let me know. Feel free to drop a like or tell me in the comments. Once again, if this is the first time you've watched one of my videos or if it's the 100th time, I would really appreciate you guys subscribing so you guys can get notifications the next time I release a video. Thank you guys so much for watching.